What if I told you that human babies born on Mars would never be able to visit Earth? Not because of travel restrictions, but because their bodies would literally collapse under Earth's gravity. This isn't science fiction. This is the reality NASA scientists are preparing for right now. Right at this moment, somewhere aboard the International Space Station, an astronaut's heart is shrinking. Their bones are dissolving at a rate 10 times faster than osteoporosis. Their eyeballs are being flattened by the fluid pooling in their skulls. This is what space does to the human body, and we're just beginning to understand the permanent changes awaiting our species beyond Earth. Scott Kelly spent 340 consecutive days in space. When scientists compared his DNA to his identical twin brother Mark, who stayed on Earth, they discovered something shocking. 7% of Scott's genes didn't return to normal even after 2 years back on Earth. His telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes that indicate biological age, had permanently changed. We literally watched a human begin evolving in real time. But here's where it gets controversial. Some scientists argue we're rushing into space colonization without fully understanding the consequences. Dr. Vershad Jain from King's College London published research in 2023 showing that cosmic radiation exposure could make human reproduction in space nearly impossible. The radiation levels on a trip to Mars alone could damage reproductive cells beyond repair. We might send humans to Mars, but they might never be able to have healthy children. And if they do, those children would be a new subspecies of human. A fetus developing in Mars gravity, which is only 38% of Earth's, would form entirely different bone density, muscle structure, and cardiovascular systems. Their hearts wouldn't need to pump as hard. Their bones wouldn't need to support as much weight. Within just one generation, we could create humans who are Martian, not in citizenship, but in biology. The data is undeniable. Astronaut Sunita Williams, who spent 322 days in space, lost up to 40% of her muscle mass despite exercising 2 hours every single day. Imagine an entire civilization developing under those conditions. Russian cosmonaut Valery Polyakov holds the record for the longest single spaceflight at 437 days, and upon return, he couldn't stand without assistance for weeks. His vestibular system, which controls balance, had completely adapted to weightlessness. Here's the pattern nobody's talking about. Every single long-duration astronaut has experienced vision problems. 60% of astronauts on 6-month missions develop a condition called spaceflight-associated neuroocular syndrome. The optic nerve swells, the eyeball flattens, and in some cases, the damage is permanent. Former astronaut Tom Marshburn still wears reading glasses today because of changes that occurred during his time in space. Now multiply this across generations. The controversy deepens. In 2021, Chinese scientists conducted experiments that successfully took mouse embryos through early development stages aboard their space station. The embryos developed, but with notable abnormalities. Japan's JAXA space agency found that freeze-dried mouse sperm stored on the ISS for nearly 6 years, exposed to space radiation, produced healthy offspring when returned to Earth, but showed increased DNA damage with longer exposure. We're literally experimenting with the future of human reproduction. But evolution doesn't wait for permission. Studies from 2024 show that astronauts' immune systems fundamentally change in space. Their T cells behave differently. Their inflammatory responses alter. Some astronauts aboard the ISS have experienced reactivation of dormant viruses like chickenpox because their immune systems became suppressed. What happens when humans spend not months, but entire lifetimes in these conditions? The gut microbiome of astronauts transforms completely within weeks of reaching space. Research published in Nature in 2023 documented how the bacterial composition in astronauts' digestive systems shifted dramatically, affecting everything from nutrient absorption to mental health. These aren't temporary changes. Some bacterial populations never fully recovered even a year after returning to Earth. And here's something that should terrify and fascinate you. Women might be better suited for space evolution than men. A 2021 NASA-funded study found that female astronauts lose less bone density, experience fewer vision problems, and have lower radiation cancer risk than male astronauts. The first permanent space colonists might be predominantly female, not for social reasons, but for survival. The psychological evolution is equally dramatic. Astronauts consistently report a profound cognitive shift called the overview effect, a permanent change in perspective after seeing Earth from space. Brain scans show actual structural changes in regions controlling spatial perception and emotional processing. We would become not just physically different, but mentally transformed. Space agencies are already preparing. NASA's Artemis program aims to establish a permanent lunar base by 2030. The European Space Agency is designing moon village concepts for sustainable habitation. China plans to build its lunar research station by 2035. These aren't distant dreams. People alive today will witness the first generation of humans born beyond Earth. The timeline is compressed. Private companies like SpaceX claim they'll land humans on Mars by 2030. Blue Origin is developing rotating space habitats designed to simulate gravity. Within 50 years, we could have thousands of humans living permanently off Earth. Within 100 years, their descendants might be biologically incompatible with Earth itself. This raises an ethical question nobody wants to answer. Do we have the right to create a generation of humans who can never come home? Who might look at Earth and know they'd die if they tried to walk on the planet of their ancestors? We're not just exploring space. We're splitting humanity into separate evolutionary paths, and there's no going back. So here's what I need to know. If you had the chance, would you volunteer your future children to become the first truly spaceborne generation of humanity, knowing they might never be able to return to Earth?